welcome today to Operationally Speaking. Today I'm here with our producer, Zach Shull, and we're going to just do something a little different today, which is, kind of get a feel more for what Operationally Speaking is and, what you have to look forward to if you listen to our podcast. Zach, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself? I know you're going to turn around and interview me in a minute, but you might as well talk about you and your company as well.
Yeah, sure. So, Tina, thanks for having me. This is a nice little spin on your podcast where people are used to you interviewing people, but you're actually going to be interviewed today. But yeah, for me, I'm the owner of a marketing agency that specializes in videos. It's called ConnectMe Marketing. So we do podcasts, website videos, videos for events, social media videos, things like that. And it's been a lot of fun working with you and developing this operationally speaking podcast. So it'll be fun today to interview you. I'm usually behind the scenes, but it'll be fun to interview you today and learn more about the company, about you as a person, and things like that.
Thank you, Zach. And likewise, it is a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for always being so patient while we navigate this whole thing. So I will let you take it away.
All right, awesome. So I think we're about 7 episodes into the podcast. So this will be a nice little treat for everyone to learn more about you, and because you have a lot of degrees, you're big on learning, you've accomplished a lot. So I'm definitely excited to show people that side of you and the personal side too, as a mom and grandkids and all of that. But first, I'd love to talk about your background because you are very humble, but you have a lot of degrees. You've done a lot of schooling. You have a lot of experience. So how did you get into this? How did you get into the surgical field?
So yeah, I went to nursing school a long time ago. I won't spout out years, but I went to nursing school and I actually, did what they said at the time, which was, do med surg, get experience, and then specialize. And so lo and behold, I did that. I went to med surg, and within 6 months, I was really considering leaving the profession. It just wasn't for me. And I went into ICU, which I enjoyed all the science, part of that in taking care of patients on that level, but it was night shift. And back then you couldn't get a day shift role, and my girls were younger. And so one day I, looked in, and back then I'm dating myself, we looked in a paper to find a job. And so I looked and it was for an ASC. I called and right before we hung up, I'm going in for an interview, and they said, oh, this is an ophthalmology ASC. And for a minute I paused because I was like, ooh, eye surgery? I don't know if I can handle eye surgery, And so I went, did the interview, and they said, why don't you observe a case? And I did. And there was no looking back. I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And so, that's what kind of started me in that surgical arena. And I loved it. And I've been here ever since.
So yeah, I don't want to date you, but how many experiences do you have with ASCs?
So I, back in 2000, started in an ASC, and right quickly went into management. In '03, we co-partnered, or I co-partnered Custom Surgical, and we started doing some consulting. And my interest in accreditation and leadership and the like led me to developing my first ambulatory surgery center for me personally in '05, and I managed that site for 17 years. But one of the girls that worked there, one of the nurses that worked there, she said, hey, I'm going to school. I'm getting my BSN. In the hospital environment, they were really pushing that. You need to get your bachelor's degree in a certain period of time. And so I ended up going to the College of Notre Dame to earn my BSN. Then I didn't stop, and I earned my master's in leadership. So really kind of that spoke to me. I love having healthy work environments, proactive environments, and really trying to raise and I don't want to sound old either, but raise up the next generation of leaders and that kind of thing. And then I always wanted a terminal degree in nursing, so I went for my doctorate, GW, A lot of fun. I love that one. And then before I said, all right, I'm done school, I was like, oh, I want my MBA. I always wanted my MBA. So I did that. And then I just recently, I'm a geek, addicted to school, but I did get a certificate in teaching because I'm like, if I'm doing all of this education, I should really have a better fundamental understanding of education. And so I did that. And so right now I'm on a pause. My family has bets for like, what are you going back to school for? And I was like, nothing right now. I'm going to focus on all of the things I learned and getting it out there. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, what's that saying? Like education's like a lifelong journey, something like that.
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely fit that definition, and I enjoy it. I always have to be learning something. Right now, I'm working on a risk management certification. In Florida, it's required, and we have a good client base in Florida. So I've been studying that, and so hopefully I'll be taking the test in a few weeks. So hopefully I'll do well.
So your journey was you started out as a nurse there, and then you worked your way up to management.
Yes, yes.
And while you were doing all that, you were doing all this schooling too.
Yes, and raising a family, and you name it. But that's just the nature of kind of how I like to do things. If I'm not busy or learning something, I'm like I feel kind of lost in a way. Don't get me wrong, I relax. I unplug for a couple of weeks out of the year and, veg out and explore. Or, if it's a beach vacation, do absolutely nothing except for eat and enjoy the beach. But otherwise, I'm highly kind of motivated, energetic kind of thing.
So how did you go from management to, opening up your own ASCs?
So in 2003, my partner, who recently retired, had done some consulting. He had been in the Ambulatory Surgery Center space since like the late 80s. And so he said, hey, I would like to do some consulting. And so we did. I had my first consulting client back in '03. And from there, was watching them or him, how he would work at developing ASCs. So locally, we had a call from another group that was building out their own ASC, and we kind of jumped in. And so for me, that was kind of like my first experience, and I really enjoy doing that. It's fun. It's fun to take something from concept on a piece of paper to walking through the space and then actually watching the surgeons sit down to do their first cases. It's really gratifying.
Yeah, that sounds very rewarding, especially because you started from the nurse to, you started from the bottom to the top, really, and then you learn how to. So we're trying to build the credibility and show people why they should listen to you because
Oh, sure.
you've been from you started from the bottom, worked your way up, management to consultant, which is not an easy task.
Well, I can say, I think what else kind of helps me in that regard is when I was running those surgery centers, I worked every role. So if somebody called out, obviously I've learned it, I would do it. And frankly, sometimes even working in, SPD to me was kind of easy when you just wanted to do something, systematically and just really get in the zone. I didn't mind doing that. So I worked literally every role within an ASC. And I think sometimes that helps when talking to physicians or their leadership for, what that staffing model, would need to look like or what will work and what, may not work so well because, frankly, I've done it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's been custom. So the website for people who don't know it's customsurgicalpartners.com. So was that's it's been that company since 2003. Did you go through some changes and open up some other companies too?
So yeah, back in 2024 December, my partner retired, and so I have a new partner. And in February of 2025, we partnered with another practice that mirrored mine. So we also own Ambulatory Strategies, and so it's been lovely, a dream come true for me to work on that integration, bringing her name is Sandra Jones, bringing her team in concert with the custom surgical team. At the time, our company in 24 was named Custom Surgical Consultants. We did change our name to Custom Surgical Partners when Mike retired. And so Ambulatory Strategies and Custom Surgical Partners developed a partnership, and that's been amazing. Our clientele had more than doubled, and so it's just been very exciting. And I know in the future, perhaps next year or so, we'll bring another company into the fold, and certainly want to keep growing. We feel that our team really brings a lot to the table. They're all administrators. They're some are accrediting surveyors and the like. And so we really bring forth a lot of knowledge. And I can say that our team, I know some people don't like, this saying or that people do this, but back in the day when I was competing, when we were custom surgical and it was only two of us, we'd say, oh, we have a combined 45 years of experience, where other companies at the time may have been bigger. So we have over 200 and some years of experience now, and growing, soon to be 225 years. So to us, it feels like a natural trajectory for the company, and certainly like a dream come true, for me in learning to be CEO, how to integrate, how to take on multiple clients, how to educate. And, for me, it's, as a Gemini, it keeps me, no 2 days are alike, and I'm still constantly being challenged to learn new things. And that's what's fulfilling to me. So, yeah.
So we were talking before about Florida, and before we did this, you have centers in PA, and you're in Maryland. So are you guys, is it nationwide? Is it certain areas? What areas do you guys service?
So we do service nationwide. Right now, the majority of our clients are mid-USA East, but we are growing. We have several clients that we've just recently signed on: Colorado, Iowa, Nevada, California. So we're getting more into the middle of the country west, and we're looking to grow more in that region as well. Now, over the years, we've worked on the West Coast a ton, but again, with Sandra's company and our company combined, we're the Eastern Seaboard. We're very busy from the middle of the U.S. East.
Yeah, that's exciting. So just for the website again, it's customsurgicalpartners.com. What kind of service, just real overview, what kind of services, people hear of consulting and things like that, but what kind of services, what do you guys specialize in? What kind of services do you mainly offer?
So with the change from custom surgical consultants to custom surgical partners, we're really now more of a premier development management and compliance organization. We partner with physician groups, hospital groups, joint ventures, PE, and helping them with overall strategy, helping them with compliance for accreditations, helping them. We manage several ASCs, so we bring forth all of our experience to help them run very efficiently. So we're full service management. And then for development, so we develop not only ambulatory surgery centers, but also office-based suites. So we have Visi Suites, which has an ophthalmology focus, where we're developing office-based surgery suites around the country. We do all specialty office-based suites as well, and then all specialty and all sizes of ASC. So in Maryland, we have a lot of, one physician, outpatient surgery centers, ASCs, and then all the way up to, hospital-owned 20 and 30 and 40,000 square foot, multiple OR, orthopedic spine centers and the like. So we really do have a good depth and breadth of services that we offer, but we kind of we're not really just like consultants anymore. We're a premier brand, focusing on those things and including education, to your point.
Yeah, because you have courses and things like that too, right?
Yes. Yeah. We have a whole ASC support online. We do have corporate compliance. We do education. And then soon we are starting back up with our ASCleadership.com and offering quarterly, offerings to anyone out there for, it could have anything to do with leadership, running something efficiently, the different programs that accrediting organizations require. So we're really just trying to get meaningful information out there to administrators, managers, anyone working in that surgery space.
Yeah, so that's actually a good segue there for me because you mentioned getting the information out there, and that's what really led to the Operationally Speaking podcast, which I want to get into now. So it would make a lot of sense why you started the podcast because you love to learn, you love to teach, you know a lot. So a podcast is a perfect fit for someone like you. But what made you want to start, doing this podcast?
Well, early on, we did a lot of smaller ambulatory surgery centers as we got our start in Maryland, and there are a lot of them. And over the years, we noticed, well, also our company also worked developing ophthalmology office-based surgery suites back in '04 and '05, a little bit ahead of its time, but we were doing them. And what we learned really quickly is that not everybody has deep pockets. Not everybody has a full complement of staff. And so really wanting to help make it happen more efficiently with that focus on patient safety and patient care. And so it was always been a dream of mine to kind of get the information out there because we found nurses, surgical techs, nurse leaders, managers, they didn't have the support to possibly go to conferences or go to the national conference or pay money to be a member anywhere and that kind of thing. And so I really wanted to be able to have that kind of free network where if they're looking for information, if they're looking to level up, it was there in front of them and they didn't have to pay for it. And so this podcast, truthfully is a dream come true in that able to do that. So if you like the topic, listen. If you don't like the topic, you don't have to listen, but it's there, it's free, and we're really just trying to get the information out that, can really help bolster the next generation of leaders that are coming through, help bolster patient safety in office-based or ambulatory settings where they may not have the resources to get the additional education that they need or support.
Yeah, so you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious. So, who is this podcast for? Like, who could help this, who could learn from this podcast?
So really, anyone in the office-based surgery suite, so all the way from surgeons, surgical techs, nursing, SPD people who work in sterile processing, front desk people, from an ASC perspective, all the way from, again, surgeons, the business office, RCM, accreditation, so nurse managers, administrators, and I don't want to leave out your perioperative RNs, surgical techs. So I'm really trying to touch, as we move forward, everybody working in that space. What we see a lot is that maybe there's a focus on just leadership or maybe a focus on just nursing, but really the way we kind of think of it is that it takes a village. So it takes that whole team of people. And what's wrong with giving and empowering, and I'm not saying what's wrong, but I'm saying it's empowering to give that information to everybody on every different job description so that everybody's being empowered to learn more and to level up. So really just anyone in that surgery space on even HOPDs, so even in that hospital setting, talking more about efficiencies and things like that. So, in my master's, I worked with my project had to do with bringing more efficiency to the hospital outpatient departments, and then for my doctorate, I worked on team steps and communication and kind of building that healthy work environment, which bolsters patient safety. So. I know that was a long-winded answer to your question, but really just anyone in that space, hopefully, as we continue to work on these podcasts, we're going to touch on every different segment.
Yeah, with so much information, how do you kind of decide what to touch on? I think we're about 7 episodes in, but, what type of things will you talk about and how do you kind of figure out what would be best for your audience?
Sometimes it's off. So far, it's been like what we're seeing where there could be like the need for more knowledge. As we continue to develop these, I'll probably do some, where I'm not interviewing someone and just spending 15 minutes getting new information out there, what we see from inspections, what we're seeing from helping other clients. And then certainly being a vendor ourselves, working with other businesses who work in the same surgery center space, interviewing them. What are they bringing new to the table? I'm sure everybody's buzzing about AI and what that can do for us. So, really just however it kind of rolls organically is how I'm picturing it. I really don't have such a strong agenda yet, and whoever we interview right now, I'm going through a segment interviewing all of the accrediting organizations, so that way they can give the listeners and viewers, what do they do that's different? Because there's 5 of them in our space now, and some are less known than others. So really just having them all have that opportunity to speak on that. So that's one thing that we're in the middle of recording, as you know, right now. And so really just anyone interested in coming on Operationally Speaking to talk about, maybe best practices of what they're doing, best practices in human resources or surgery or, quality, any of those things. There's no topic that's off limits, with regards to, working in that space. So that's what I'm interested in. So if you're listening to this and you have an idea and you want to talk about it and get it out there, I'm happy. Please just reach out. You can do a contact us on customsurgicalpartners.com. That'll get to me, and we will get a call scheduled, and I'd love to have you on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be fun too. We haven't talked about this, but I've done this with other podcasts. As we do like a mailbag segment where people can send in questions. Maybe we even do an episode where it's just you answering questions that the viewers send in. That might be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do that. Certainly things that are meaningful to people.
Sure.
That's my whole thing that I'm hoping that I'm doing. So thank you. That's a great idea, Zach. I love it.
Yeah, and just a reminder, everyone. So you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to it on all audio podcast platforms, and then we'll post all the links on social media as well. So there's a lot of different ways to get it. So there's a link on the website too. So there's a lot of ways to get the information. So yeah, that's great. So we talked about your background, everything. We talked about podcasts. Now's the fun part to talk about Tina behind the
Oh,
scenes.
geez. Gotcha.
Because you are a mom, you're a grandmom. I know you love Disney World too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
We
yeah,
try to do a family trip every year.
okay. So yeah, if we could maybe talk get a little personal a little bit. So you have a couple daughters, you have some grandchildren, right?
Yes. Yep. 4 grandsons, which is, a neat contrast from 2 daughters to all grandsons. So I'm loving the differences, that comes along with that. That's pretty fun. They definitely keep me young and busy. So I'm grateful there for sure.
Yeah, and then so when you're not working and not learning, even though when you're on the beach, you're probably learning or reading something, right? But what do you like to
Probably.
do? What do you like to do when you're not working?
Yeah, so, love being outdoors, love, the beach, anything to do with water. Boating, we love to boat. We love, Disney once a year, bring the whole family together. That's kind of fun. We know that my kids love that growing up, and then now the grandkids will have those memories. So that's really kind of a full circle fun thing. Love to work out, exercise, weight lift, those kind of things. So that's basically me in a nutshell. Put me on a beach in warm weather, or on a boat is my ideal kind of scenario. And just love meeting new people and that kind of thing is a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I don't want to get too personal, but is there anything else you want people to know about you, or something maybe people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh gosh, surprised to learn. Um, oh, I wish I could think of something cool to say with it. I'm sure after we hang up, I'll be like, oh, I should have said whatever. But No, I think that basically, covers me in a nutshell. I enjoy, meeting new people. I am a surveyor, so I sit on both ends of that spectrum in the work, atmosphere. Love family. Family's important, and that's basically me.
Awesome. Well, yeah, as we wrap it up, I guess a good way to end it was maybe be what's like, words of inspiration or tips for people in the industry. You have so much knowledge and experience, maybe you have something to any type of tip or advice to share.
I would love to say for aspiring leaders or for those who are on the fence, like, oh, I don't know if I could lead or that kind of thing. And even for current leaders, we definitely need mentorship out there, bringing up that next generation. Our industry got hit in COVID. A lot of older administrators who were seasoned retired, and so I say be fearless. I say, give it a try, see if you like it. I think that for me has always served me well. I really, you'll never hear me say, oh, I never did that before, I don't know how to do it. I kind of jump in and learn. And for those who know me, know that that is my I'm a DIY. You name it, I've probably done it myself over the years. And so that might be a surprising fact. We used to do videos, and those who know me, if they're listening, know we used to do really funny videos at work for the Christmas party. So we'd put together 5-minute skits like SNL and act them out. Was always a hoot. And so, so my advice is be fearless, give it a try. Don't knock it before you try it. I would never have guessed that, I would have aspired so much in leadership, but I love it. I can't see me doing anything other than what I'm currently doing. And so that would be my advice. Jump in there and just do it. Life's too short. Yeah.
That was a great answer and a great way to end it. I think that really summarizes the podcast, what they'll get from the podcast, kind of like the vibes from the podcast. So I think that was a great answer.
Oh, thank you, Zach. Well, glad. Well, I appreciate you did this, today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to continuing to get more information out there to everyone. And I just love it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, so just a reminder to everyone, it's Operationally Speaking podcast. It's on YouTube, all audio platforms. And then all the social media links are custom surgical partners. So make sure you check those out. And you can get links to that and the podcast on the website. And also in the description, we'll have the links to everything. So, everyone make sure if you want the information, you got to follow and subscribe and all of that.
Yes, I seen someone I see someone on Instagram, and she just says it for like the first 3 sections. She's like, make sure you like, comment, follow, and she has a saying. I'm going to try to learn that. So when we say welcome to Operationally Speaking, I'm going to say please like, subscribe, and comment. I just
Yeah,
think it's
sometimes you
yeah,
gotta remind people sometimes if they want the information, they gotta subscribe to get it.
yeah, absolutely. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Tina.
All right.